Hi, my name is Mandy Mortensen, and I'm going to be discussing networking with you today as part of Module 5 for Management 6334. First, let's discuss the advantages of building a network. First, building a network gives us access to private information that's not public, not published online. This information is typically subjective and based on personal experience or interactions of others. Next, it gives us access to diverse skills. This gives us access to skills that are beyond our direct scope or maybe those that are directly around us. And thirdly, it gives us access to power. It gives us access to information brokers or super connectors. Now that the business world is so much more linear than in a pyramidal structure, this allows us to connect with so many more people. Now, how do we build this kind of network? And more specifically, how do we build a giver network? Well, first we must discuss what is a giver. A giver is somebody that gives more than they take. This allows us to have a more positive reputation in terms of our giving styles. This allows us to connect with people that we maybe don't know how may help us in the future. And it inspires trust in our motive so that others can see that our intentions are good. So how specifically do we build a giver network? We first must recognize that giving is contagious. Adam Rifkin was famous for the 5-minute favor. He was Fortune's best networker, and he believed that you should be able to give a favor to anybody that's 5 minutes or less. Now, he didn't do this expecting anything in return, but instead to inspire others to give, essentially paying it forward. Giving will spread rapidly and widespread throughout a network. Next is the shared activities principle. And this is something that Uzi and Dunlap describe as a high-stakes activity that inspires loyalty and trust amongst people. This allows people to break from their typical roles and connect in a different way. Heidi Rosen did this by connecting with people maybe at the gym or picking her children up from school. Next are super connectors, as I briefly touched on before. Super connectors are people that connect us to a much larger group of people. These people have a very large network in and of themselves. The key is to look for people who are not in a place of formal authority. These are people that you wouldn't necessarily go to or that everyone else would go to. Next are dormant ties. Dormant ties are ties that are people that we've been connected with in the past, that we've already established trust with, but maybe don't communicate with as often as we used to. These are people that we can easily connect with again because this trust has already been established. It's easier for people to reconnect with us in that way. Heidi Rosen did this when she worked at Apple. She leveraged dormant ties when she needed them because that trust was already established by her being, have already shown her positive reputation and them already knowing her. Next are looking for people with grit. Psychologist Angela Duckworth describes this as having passion and perseverance towards long-term goals. Doesn't everybody want to be connected with people with grit? Givers tend to be grittier in general than other reciprocity styles. Grant suggests that success is actually more dependent on someone's motivation than the talent themselves. So looking for grit may lead you to a larger giver network and people that are really more highly motivated. Now, next is persuasion. Now, persuasion has a negative connotation in a lot of situations, but when used in a positive and ethical manner, this can be beneficial. Sinaldi discusses that uncovering real similarities, exposing expertise, giving what you want in return, and really demonstrating dedication are ways to positively influence and persuade people. Now, Heidi Rosen was able to do this and use these principles. She was a pro at turning a simple conversation into a very meaningful interaction by providing unique ideas. She joined groups of people with similar interests, and she spoke at conferences whenever possible. She connected with people finding those similar interests, giving them their undivided attention, and using powerless communication. She was known for her unpretentious nature and how approachable she was. She genuinely would give feedback when provided with business plans, even though she knew that she wasn't necessarily going to invest in that company. So, I know what some of you may be thinking. Giving sounds exhausting, but it doesn't have to be. Adam Grant describes otherish behavior to avoid giver burnout. Otherish behavior is not giving to the extreme per se, or allowing yourself to be burnt out. It's still giving more than you take, but within reason, and choosing more about who and what you give to. So Heidi Rosen did this by only leveraging contacts to help others when she knew it would be mutually beneficial. She set boundaries on what she gave to, but she gave completely. Still better managing the time and not being overextended. Adam Rifkin's 5-minute favor is a perfect example of this. So Grant suggests that finding opportunities of high impact giving is crucial. It's more about the effect of the impact than the time spent. Now, there are different ways to go about this, whether it be chunking that time, spreading it out. The key is, as Grant suggests, is 100 hours per year. Heidi did this when she was burnt out from corporate America, and she shifted into that mentor capitalist. It allowed her to give the most impact, what she felt was the most impact, by giving her time and experience without having that corporate burnout. Now, some take-home points, some things to remember from this discussion. Adopt a giver reciprocity style. And with that giving is contagious. If you want to build a giver network, you must be a giver. And by doing that, you're essentially paying it forward and spreading that. It spreads like wildfire. Building a network using shared activities, super connectors, dormant ties, and looking for people with grit. And also thinking about persuasion, but in an ethical and positive manner. And of course, avoiding burnout without becoming otherish. Now, I hope I've gotten you to think about what kind of network maybe you have, what kind of network you may want, and giving you some tips on how to build a giver network. Thank you.